you mentioned. So Ashokji mentioned about a very appropriate topic, especially for the month of, when we are talking of health or all kinds of health, well-being. So we are talking today about health, and we'll see the different elements, whether it is physical, and we will go through the mental, emotional, spiritual. So what we do in this 2 or 3 part series. So today we will go through the theory part, or the what it is, and then we will get a little bit more into into next week. We will connect it to again Ayurveda and other elements, and we will see the practical side of it. So that's why it will be step by step. We don't want to put too much overwhelming in one session. So not only we will go to the theory, but as well the practical, so that you can make use of what you hear, what you learn, and then get into the other side where you make benefit of it. So let me start sharing my screen, and then we will get going. 1 second, please. Okay. So, all right. And all right. So if we talk about health, we can say it was defined very early, going back to 1948 by WHO. And when they defined, the way they looked at it, it was from the perspective that, okay, at that time, the health, people will be thinking in terms of illness, diseases. And they said, well, it is not just mere absence of diseases, but they included the physical, mental, and the social well-being into it. So that we don't say that, okay, I'm ill or I'm healthy. No. There is a mental element, there is a social well-being element, and even in physical, we can see, because sometimes, you get yourself physically checked and you may be fine. But then if you go to another center, maybe with a very sophisticated equipment, and they may find something in you. So all of a sudden you may be physically okay, and all of a sudden you may not be okay, depending on where you get it checked. But in 1986, so that means after that initial definition, they redefined, or in a way they improved upon the way they were defining health. And not just infirmity or absence of disease, we may say, but they included the element, which means that health is a resource to support an individual's function in wider society, rather than just health as a health topic itself. So a healthful lifestyle provides, you can say, the means to lead a full life with meaningful and purpose. So here they went a step ahead. Now, talking about lifestyle, talking about, leading a full life, a meaningful purpose, these were the key, you can say, improvements. And we will see this, how it means as we, continue with our different types that we will see. So 3 types of definition may arise from this WHO way of defining health. We can say health is the absence of any disease, which is the very fundamental original one. And they said, well, it is not just this. And then they said, okay, it's a state where, you can cope up with the daily demand. So Of course, you have to be healthy to be able to do that. But it is not just physical side, but now they are taking more elements into it. Or then they went into the health is a state of balance, equilibrium between you, yourself, your social environment, the physical environment. So now they are adding more elements to it. So again, whichever way we look at it, it is increasing in terms of the depth, which makes more sense. But does it end here? That is the question. And when we look into that, we can see the reason why it is so important to look into the health element, because as of 2017, as per CDC information, for US alone, it was estimated that the cost of healthcare, goes as much as $3.5 trillion. So you can imagine what kind of impact we are talking here. Now, when there is a cost, of course, there is a business element, but then there is also the human side, how much suffering, pain, and loss of productive time, a lot of factors. It's not just the money itself. And despite of having such beautiful medical facilities in US, the life expectancy is not the highest in US. That means there are other countries which has higher than US. So you imagine that the kind of money and resources and research going on, and yet if you do not have, that means there is something you are lacking because someone else is better than you. What could that be? So two things comes here when we are talking of that. Access to healthcare. You may have the best research and everything, but if it is not accessible to all, then that is one factor. Second is the lifestyle choices. And we will talk about lifestyle more and more as we get into deeper. And when we talk about these choices, means again, we are saying, is it really available to all part of the society? And you see a difference when we talk of US versus Europe, versus whether India or Africa or other continent, other parts, South America. So there are differences. That means these are critical factors as we talk. So if we talk about health, again, this is still under big umbrella, we can see that there are 4 pillars or 4 major elements we can use when we are talking about health. Sleep. Now, sleep is not just, that it's part of your daily routine and you sleep. Sleep means your recovery, or you can say that now your battery is getting recharged. You had a whole day, you had your work, whatever that may be, and now you need to replenish that energy that you have lost during the day. And if you're not getting adequate sleep, then we get in all kinds of health issues, whether it is heart related, whether it is any kind of illness, diseases, weight, all kind of issue comes. Stress, of course, comes. Typically, people say lack of sleep, but sleep has much more deeper meaning. Nutrition, diet, lifestyle, when we were talking about that, so diet is a very big part. Now, typically, if you go to a gas station, you will see different kind of options available to you with different octane number. If it is a standard vehicle, standard car, you may fill normal gas into it. But if it's a high-end car, then you will put the higher octane number. That means you have to pay more, but that is a better quality petrol gas. If it's a Formula 1 car, of course, now you are going even better. So you see, it depends on your fuel. So same is food for us. Physical activity, because physical activity, absence and too much, both not good. Absence of physical activities will cause different kind of physical issues or health issues, And too much of it can also cause harm to you. Last but not the least, connection, which is so important, because connection means connecting with each other. You may have heard that a person may be in a big group of, a party or gathering, right? But still you feel lonely. You may be at a workplace where so many people are working, still you feel lonely. You don't have the connection. Now, why is it that people don't get connected or don't feel, or they feel lonely one way or the other? There could be many reasons. Whether they don't have any hobbies, they don't have, sometimes, especially now with online working, this is the big issue. We are losing on this part, connection, human to human. So you see this kind of thing that generally sometime we may neglect, but they are extremely important. Now, from just a general health, let's come down to the physical health, because first, people were just thinking health as physical health. So what is physical health? Physical health, you may have definition-wise, initially people thought it's okay, physically, if I'm healthy or not, and that's my health. If I'm healthy physically, means I'm good. If not, I'm sick. So if you're able to, or you are not able to live comfortably or do the things that you are, day to day, what you are used to, or you may want to, that's how people used to define health. So when we look into just the physical specifically, you may have different factors that may be impacting or, affecting whether you will be called healthy or not. Now, physical activities, it could be a lot of things, including your strength, flexibility, endurance. You may go for some exercise, running and all. So you need a lot of things. You may be an athlete, sports and all. If you are involved in that, you need endurance. So depending on what you do, the physical activity is one part of it. And nutrition and diet, that includes what you eat, your digestion and everything. That's a big part of it, which may big relation with your physical health. Alcohol and drugs, that kind of thing, has a big impact on your health. The medical self-care, including addressing minor ailments or injuries and seeking emergency care as necessary. And of course, rest and sleep, as we talked, that this is one big factor. If we don't have daily, resetting of your clock, then you will certainly be out of luck with terms of physical health. Now, physical is easy because everybody understand, and they say, yeah, physical, I can feel it. I can kind of see it. If some injury or some sprain or anything, then generally it is easier if it is physical, because you can see it, you can appreciate it. Because if you see somebody with a plaster, we immediately say, oh, okay, what happened, and you break your bone or whatever. Or if the person has gone through some surgery or some kind of a treatment. So generally it is easier to connect. And that's why since very beginning, physical health was considered as health. Whereas in general, when we talk about mental health, this is something which is extremely important, however, because it is invisible. So some people may appreciate it very easily, some may not. And especially when it comes to youth or, kids in school, they may not be able to appreciate this. And what ends up being is they make fun, they may not, take it appropriately. And the person who's going through it suffers a lot in the society, which creates another problem. So again, as per US Department of Health and Human Services, when we talk about mental health, we are referring to person's emotional, social, psychological well-being. And we'll look into the mental and emotional health. There is a subtle difference. Generally, they are clubbed as one, but we will separate and we will see what is that subtle difference and why we should identify it separately, mental versus emotional. So mental health, yes, it's very important, just as important as physical, or someone, may be of opinion that it's in fact more, again, because of the factors we just talked about, in order for a person to have a full active lifestyle. Now, it is harder to define, right, as we discussed, compared to physical, because a lot of these topics are still not clear or people are not aware. So there are situations, or there are some categories of conditions that a person may go through that is unknown. So unknowingly, when people don't know such thing exists or this is what it is, they end up, taking it lightly, or just people make fun. So that means we are not treating it, we are not appreciating it, we are not handling it in the right way. So what happens when we are talking about mental health? We are referring to the ability of the person to process information. This is the key. That means the person's ability to think clearly and make certain decisions, because this is what we do on day-to-day basis. How do we cope with stress? How do we manage emotion? That is also related to it. And again, we'll see some difference. So it is not just the absence of depression, anxiety, and other disorders that we typically talk about. It depends on the person's ability to enjoy life. If you have certain difficulty, it doesn't matter whether it's in personal life, professional life, how easily and quickly you can bounce back. There are people with small difficulty and they get stuck and they suffer for a long time. There are people who can bounce back very easily. They will just shrug it off and they can, get back to their normal routine. There are people who can maintain the balance. We keep talking about the work and professional, when we are talking about that, the family and your work and the finance, or your in general. So different elements, how do you manage balance between those? Safe and secure in different ways. Again, it could be just as normal safety, security. It could be financial. It could be emotional. It could be, relationship. There are many elements which affects your mental health. So ultimately, it is your ability to achieve full potential. So key thing here is your ability to process information. Now, sometimes they go unnoticed because physically you can see. So what are the typical, you can say, symptoms and all we find when we are talking about mental health? Person may be sad because of many different reasons, but if you are seeing repeated issue, if you are seeing person is down energy all the time, person is confused, that means not able to think, process the thought, process the information, cannot concentrate, because this happens with the students. Younger age, bullying and all kind of thing, and they suffer in even schools, universities, all stages of life. Sometimes the person may have excessive fear, or like we say, the guilt. You may have extreme mood swing, high and low. Very easily, I can go to the two extremes. Person is totally, withdrawal, like we're talking about the loneliness. You are with friends, but yet you feel lonely. You're not connected. So one day, or, randomly you have low energy, that's a different story. But when you have significant repeated issue or significant frequency that you're always firing from finding yourself low energy and you cannot sleep, you always find yourself tired. Those are the situations which are telling you that something is not right. Now, when we are talking about mental disorders, there are different kinds. And again, as they may be described, but critical thing here is even eating. And there are certain things that can be easily, observed. And eating disorder is one of them. Again, it comes back when we will talk about lifestyle, when we will talk about diet, but this is something that, once you are aware, it's easy to identify, to see if a person needs help or person is going through some kind of issue that may need help. So when we are talking about emotional health, what is the subtle difference? Because we were talking about the mental health. So here, the difference comes thinking versus expressing. In the mental one, we were saying that person may not be able to think properly, right? Here, emotional health is the ability that how you are able to cope up, how you're able to manage your emotions. Now, this is critical to have positive relationship in terms of, whether it's at home, with neighbors, at work, colleagues, it goes everywhere. So if we can manage your emotions or not, this is thinking versus expressing. That means you cannot express yourself. Now, if you are not able to express yourself, and that may come because of, variety of reasons. It could be because of a lot of anxiety, stress. You may be going through some personal, family loss or something, major changes in your life, financial changes or whatever that may be. And it can impact both your mental and emotional health. And there are situations, there are some tragedy or shocks, accidents, happens, events in life where all of a sudden the person loses the ability to express. Or some people are so shy, we just say, oh, he's a shy person, cannot, generally quieter. But if you are not able to express your emotion, that means those emotions get stuck inside your body. And now it's not just emotional health, because very soon it will become physical. So you see, they are connected. It's not like totally a clear-cut demarcation. The thing is, where is it starting? If it is starting because you cannot express, and now it is getting into your physical. So you see, it started emotional and then became physical. So if we understand this and we can stop it at emotional level, we can avoid having physical health issues. And that's why it's very important to be aware of that. What are those signs, symptoms that we can identify early? And we can help the person to overcome that. The person doesn't have to go through all this. If we are not able to do, then it becomes kind of chronic issue, because over the long period of time, now it has become something which has now transitioned from emotional to physical health. So again, eating, sleeping too much. It's not that person is lazy, sleeping too much. There could be another factor. There could be a combination of factors. Person just eating too much, we just, shouldn't say just your metabolism and this and that. There could be some emotional issues. Connectivity, big point. Energy, like we talked about. Now, your body will start giving you indications. And that is why it's important to understand, so that we can identify those symptoms that our body is giving us. There could be some aches, whether it's stomach, headache, pain, this, that. Your body is a very good friend of yours. Only thing is we don't know how to communicate with our body sometime or understand the language. That means body is giving us indications. Sometimes we miss to identify, capture them, understand them. And then once the person is into this, you feel helpless, hopeless, and all kind of then again, depression and anxiety. And one thing may result into another. It's very easy when it comes to this emotional thing. And emotional can become then mental issue. And then it can become physical. So you see how one thing gets so easily into the other category. And that's why, of course, we talk about overall health, because these are interrelated things. So sharing, talking, communicating, this is extremely, extremely important. And that's why, in today's world, when everything is online or more and more people are working from home, this is a big loss. We are losing this ability, or what we used to be forced in person, at the workplace or otherwise, that now we are more and more digital. We are losing that connectivity. Before, people used to write letters, now not even email or anything, they will just emojis. So we are going away from a detailed emotional description, or communication or expression, to just symbolic expression. Now, this is a very big loss. People think this is the next generation thing, but they don't understand the issues that the society will face in the time to come. A big part of emotional wellness, and right from the childhood side, many of us cannot say no. And we feel as if, it's a crime to say no to someone. So either you accept because you cannot say no, you suffer because you cannot say no. So there are different elements to it, depending on the situation, that the person suffer when you cannot say no emotionally. If you don't feel content most of the time, you suffer. That means doesn't matter what you get, you're always feeling lack. You may have an element of guilt, suffering, lack of, then all those things, lack of self-confidence, lack of, self-respect, self-esteem, all those things start coming. If you do not have a strong support network, again, if you cannot communicate, you may not have a big friends group, friends and families who can support you time to time, because that is a very essential element in your emotional wellness. That means we should have a strong support network. We should feel content with what we have, what we do, what we are planning, all kinds of, like all three sides, past, present, or future. You should be talking, expressing, and then you should be able to relax. People go to vacation and they are still they come back tired. Why? They couldn't relax. They couldn't, sometime in normal day, they could sleep. If you cannot sleep, means you cannot relax. You cannot relax, well, it will affect your health. So you see, the expression takes you to a different element, and this is a subtle difference between mental and emotional health. You cannot cope up with emotion, you cannot express yourself, it can create big issues. Now, from physical going to mental and emotional, now we come to the spiritual health. And why spiritual health is so important, we'll see when we go through it. And truly, if you will see that what we should be more concerned about is actually spiritual health. why it is more critical than the three before what we just talked about. Because spiritual health includes what we call purpose of life. Truly as human, what's our capacity and capability? It deals with that. Sometimes you feel when, suppose you are in sports or athlete and you say, okay, I'm running 100 meters and you may take, say, example, 20 seconds and you say, okay, this is my best. After attempting, after working on it, you can drop 20 to 15. You think, okay, this is the best. You cannot do it. Why? You are just improving your capacity, your capability in different part of that thing, whether it is your endurance, whether it is your technique, or whatever you do, you are improving on that. So there is a infinite capabilities that we all have. The question is, do we really understand? Do we really know how to expose? That means how to bring them forward. It creates balance between physical, psychological, social element of human life, which is extremely important. We are a social animal. We cannot live alone. And if we do not have balance, even if you're an athlete, you cannot be just practicing, your sports 24 hours. So that's psychological. And the social element you need, whether it's friends and families, colleagues, whatever, you need that connection to other humans. If we really get deeper into spiritual health, as we say about spirituality, now you are getting into the experience of the divine and the wholeness. So imagine the spiritual health, which is coming from these two elements, the experience of the divine and the wholeness. And you may have this in your day-to-day meditation. It could be breathing. It could be your, just being in the moment or live in the moment, that kind of element. The more of this you experience, the more content, the more full you feel. And this is really a key element in our spiritual health. So how we can improve our spiritual wellness, or what are the key factors? Doesn't matter what faith, belief system that you may have. Do you have connection with that or not? Do you volunteer your time? Doesn't matter if it is a social activity, making some park for kids through some organization. You're volunteering your time for kids or for some other elderly, or is it just for in general society or some sports event or whatever that may be? Volunteering really improves your fulfillment. When we say purpose, when we say that you feel the taste of divinity. Now it is connected to number 8, which is selflessness. That means volunteering is given that it is with selflessness, because otherwise it's not volunteer. Then it becomes a paid thing. So along with this, when you do, it brings high level emotion, high level energy. So, when we talk about the chakras, the bottom 3 are the chakras of consumption. 4th onwards, it becomes your healing, your development and progress. And that is what you get when you volunteer. When we do yoga, we are getting connected to the universe. Yoga is not fast running or weightlifting or any such thing. So breathing techniques, what we call pranayama, meditation, where you are connecting yourself to yourself. That means you are looking inward, not outward. Now you are understanding yourself better. Go out and spend time with the nature, Panchbhutas. In today's lifestyle, we are getting away from Panchbhutas. We don't spend time under the sun, under the open air, the sky. Go to a river, lake, sea, beach, whatever, with water, or if it is raining, be outside. One key element is there are many people, they have no hobbies. And when you do not have any hobby, you will find many occasions, many, time during the day or the week that you don't know what to do. You are just blank or lonely again, because there's nothing that really connects your heart to. But if you have a hobby, whenever you are doing whatever you like, whatever is your hobby, you will have elevated emotions, positive energy. So it is so, so, so important for your spiritual well-being. So if you are struggling with your spiritual health, you may ask certain question to yourself. Because see, spirituality is different for different people. I may define one way, you may define the other way, someone else may define another way. There could be subtle differences. These questions will help you, because every one of us is unique. So if you ask certain generic questions, which will, bring it out, what makes you feel most complete? When do you feel most connected to the rest of the world? When do you find the most inner strength? What do you do when you feel whole? Once you understand this, you would know that what is it that is really close to your heart, that connects you to the universe, that connects you to the higher self. That's what is something which will give you the feeling of divinity or taste of divinity. Otherwise, the question comes, what do I do? Oh yeah, I like this, but then after a week, no, actually I don't. You go to something else and say, yeah, today I like this. After another couple of weeks, no, you don't, because that may not be connected to you. Like we say typically in the industry, like flavor of the month. Certain initiative, everybody is doing that. After a month, different initiative. After a month, another initiative. But with us, it doesn't work that way. As human, we have to identify, and that thing does not change. Minor variation you may see, but the core element will remain the same. What makes you feel complete, what makes you feel connected to others, what makes you, feel whole, find your inner strength. And if you have all this, you will perform really optimally. That means you will do the best possible to your capability and capacity. So spiritual health is not just, physical or something can be defined so black and white. It's a dimension of the human wellness that integrates all dimensions, actually. Whatever we talked about physical, we talked about mental, emotional, the social element. It includes everything. What does it mean? If we take care of spiritual wellness, others will follow. Because now you have meaning to your life, purpose of life, what we call. Now you are connected to the world, connected to the higher self. With oneness, there is no separation. You can live with, high level of energy, divinity, because now whatever you are doing, you're enjoying. Whatever you are doing, you see a purpose in it. So spiritual wellness is like a glue. It brings everything else together. Your physical, mental, emotional, everything comes together. And the word spirituality is coming from a Latin word, which is nothing but it is breath, prana, or life. Same thing. And when we do meditation, breathing techniques, pranayams and all that, that's exactly what we are doing. Connect to your breath. So you see, everything makes sense if, rather than just physical element, start the other way around. If we look at the spiritual wellness and then come down, then it will be so easy to get to your true health. Because spirituality tells you the feeling or the concept of oneness. We are all one. We think my brain, his brain, and all that thing, but we are all connected. We are connected to other human beings. We are connected to the oneness, the source of power in the universe. And that's why it's easy to take it as, that there is an overlap when we talk about medical and spiritual language. When you define health and healing, big overlap. Whether you go back to the Greek, because again, these are English words, you can go to, Ayurveda, you can go to any of our own Granth, or doesn't matter if it is Chinese, Egyptian, Indian, because these are very old civilizations. It connects directly. It connects to the higher self, higher energy. And everything goes when we are talking about not just one element, but total well-being. And total well-being means we are not separating, okay, if I get physical health, I'm fine, or if I get emotional, I'm fine. No. This works on total or overall well-being, means you will have all of it: physical well-being, emotional, mental, social. Because if you're disconnected, then you're not healthy. Because when there is something broken, or you're disconnected, you're bringing it together. Now, it doesn't matter which way we look at it, togetherness, oneness, this is all what we are looking when we look into the bigger picture of spirituality. This is where you get the connectivity. This is where you get very close to the higher self or the divinity, what we keep repeating about. So, if you summarize spiritual health, what is it? It is wholeness where there was one separation. It brings together. It is oneness where there was one distinction. If, this is mine, this is yours, this is, we keep differentiating now, whether it's between the countries, between two people, two organizations, doesn't matter. If there was once death, then this is aliveness. So spiritual health makes you alive, makes you believing in oneness and wholeness. And if you have these three, that's divinity. Feeling of divinity means closer to the universe, closer to the energy. And without health and oneness, there is no life, because that is the fundamental of our life. So, masters, This was health with respect to different elements. Next session, we will go a little more and then also look into the practical elements of it. Some of it you saw today, but how to make use of it, how to really benefit that you can improve. And again, we are talking about overall well-being. That means, of course, if you start with the spiritual health is better, but if you come the other way around, it's fine, depending, everyone may have a different journey. It's not a question of right or wrong. We cannot jump straight to the level 10, so you have to go step by step. If you're already in the field of spirituality, it's easy to understand and appreciate what it means and get connected. If not, and we go the other way around from physical to mental, emotional, then come to spirituality, fine. But the point is that spiritual health includes the other, and that should be our aim. How to make use of it, and this we will continue in the next session. But if you have any question on today's topic, please feel free to raise your hand, or if you want to share your experience, please raise your hand and do share your experience of any of this related. It doesn't matter, as physical, emotional, spiritual health. Yes, Upendra, please.
Yeah, Upendra sir, you are unmuted.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Namaste. Welcome back. Hope you had a great vacation. I just wanted a couple of questions about one question about capacity and capability. You know, as human beings or as Jivatmas, we have enormous capacity and but a limited capability. Have you looked into? Of course, spiritual health will give you that, convert that capacity into capability. I mean, is there a connection there in terms of spiritual health and physical ability to do things in terms of capability? I'm only 150 pounds. I can only do so much physically, but emotionally, probably I could do a lot more. So just the thought that went through my mind. I don't know, it's a question or just a contemplation.
So thanks. That's a beautiful thought, Upendraji. And the connection here is more kind of appropriate when we talk either capability or capacity with reference to the mental health or mental strength when we talk about. For example, I may be able to, whether talk about lifting, say you can lift 30 or pound, but the same person with determination and mental strength, now you can do more. When we talk about capacity in terms of our, say, lung capacity, doing pranayama, for example, initially holding the breath was like 6 to 8 seconds used to be the highest, and now it is like easily 30 seconds with every breath, in and out. So that improves, as in some case it could be endurance related, but in some case it is also your mental and spiritual side. The more you believe in something, the faith, whether it's placebo or it's just faith, the more you will see that improvement is coming. On the other side, if you start with nocebo, with the negative feeling that I cannot do this, then people fail. Even if they can physically lift 50 kilo, they will be lifting only 25 because inner strength or the mental, they have a blockage that I cannot do this, or I will fail, or I'm not good at this, things like those. So there is where we get the relation. And if we bring the two together, means mental strength, our spirituality, faith in it, we can do much more than what we think we are capable of.
Thank you for that. I think basically we're talking about positive energy, positive thinking, and believing in oneself, and trying to explore what is more than what physically you are capable of. Thank you for that.
Guruji, one other thing that I noted is when you are talking about mental health symptoms, withdrawal from friends and society, because when you are actually going through a journey of spirituality, then sometimes actually you feel like you are going to be disconnected with your friend circles or friends or what you have, because slowly that is going to be like more disconnected from those things. So if that is the case, then when you are actually disconnecting, but still you are very strong in healthy and you are very joyful than earlier, but that is not a symptom, yes, because that is not a mental health symptom. You mentioned in your thing that withdrawal from friends is supposed to be a symptom that you need to check. So how is that going to be? In my case, definitely that is what has been happening, because I know that earlier how I used to be socially and how I am right now. So that's one thing which I wanted to.
So great question, Ashokji. And the answer to this is, there is a saying in English that if speech is silver, silence is gold. So if you are talking less, that does not mean, it's a wrong thing. It's you have achieved that wisdom level that you know now that you don't have to talk a lot, just some time to prove yourself or some time to, be in the conversation or whatever that may be. You will see, in fact, the people with the higher wisdom, they will be talking less, because either you can say I'm talking less, or you can say now I'm talking optimum level. Before I was talking more than what was optimal. But generally we say I'm talking less because we are just comparing with before. If the person is going through some mental or other health issue, the person will disconnect because of some fear, some anxiety, or some kind of lack of confidence or lack of self-esteem because of those negative reasons. And that can be seen or can be felt, either by the person or by others distinctly. Compared to a person having a wisdom level high, that's why the person talking less. Because as you perfectly, 100% correctly said, you will be joyful. Your body language will be radiating positive energy. It's just that your choice of how much you want to talk.
Got you. And yeah, Vinda ma'am, you are muted.
Yeah, thank you, Gaurav sir. Welcome back and Happy New Year to everyone. I, as you were going through the slides, I had questions, and then again, your last slide answered many, of course, because you said spirituality covers all. But my process was there in the head, so I'm going to still ask and clarify. And I know next session you said you might actually give more solutions. So let me turn the video on. So actually, all those things that you mentioned, right? Like for emotional health or for this thing, to build a network and to do later on to have hobbies, to do voluntary. It is something you build over time, right? It's not something like, oh, this is the problem, so now to do this. It doesn't happen like that. So you should have had a hobby kind of thing. You should have worked on it. You can still take maybe, but I don't know. I'm just asking, especially for loved ones and all these questions for myself. I'm so thankful that we are going through this, and I have this, and we'll practice this from now on, and I will take good care. But I'm talking about when you were talking, I could see my parents or my loved ones, all those symptoms I could see. They withdrew, and situations happened, and they've gone through that. They, like, for example, my dad itself, he's built a good network. He was great in the family. Everybody, when he was fine, and everyone he supported, they were all good. And you don't know, people change, like, so the whole network, even friends, and so many friends pass away at that age. So it's gone. He feels lonely and withdrawn, and I can see that, and it's affecting now his physical health too, and lots of other stress factors that happen emotionally. So, and even if he wants to volunteer in some, both of them, anybody, it's not just men, their physical health bothers them, and they're not able to go anywhere and do anything. So what solution can you suggest? I think spirituality is the best, but they were not into spirituality much, maybe, but can you please suggest?
So, Vidya ma'am, see, the thing is, nothing is permanent except energy, right? Because when we talk of physical world, that is the only guarantee we can give that it is not permanent. Energy is, but not the physical body or physical world, right? So that means if today I have, say, hobby or friends or whatever, it is kind of fulfilling either the need or the purpose at this time. It may last for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, but nothing is permanent. Especially with the people around us, the only thing we can guarantee, again, the same way. There will be some people, there will be a change. That means the younger one coming in. So if that is the, say, the law of nature, then that will happen. It's just a matter of here. The age as a factor. And the reason I was mentioning that spiritual health is, you can say, the most important element in all this, because it covers all the elements. Now, the issue becomes when, as a person, we do not come in contact with spirituality at an appropriate age, because I cannot say, young or what, because any age is okay. But when you do not come at an appropriate age, then at all of a sudden, because of some suffering or some situation, if you have to understand spirituality, it becomes forceful. But if we can, that's why, like, I always suggest that youth, if we work with them, and if they understand, whether they follow or not, but at least they understand, there will be a higher probability that they will understand the concept and make subtle changes in their life accordingly. That they don't have to come to spirituality by force, by some incident, by some health issue, by whatever that may be, all of a sudden, because then it becomes challenging. If it is a gradual journey, it becomes very easy. So your specific question about your father, and if it is, elderly, senior citizen, it becomes challenge if someone is not into spirituality to bring them into spirituality. The only way that I have seen it works at that age is small doses. Our delta, or what we say, the change, we should not expect too much. Start with very little. You have to hold the hand just like the baby and make them take step by step. Even if we want that within 1 year, they should, go and understand everything, it will be their best for their health. My opinion is, let it be a slow process. That will be more permanent, that will be more rewarding than we try to push.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking, I mean, definitely it works better on ourselves, and like you said, younger age and everything. But
and if they're losing some friends, there must be some younger one, the next generation, the grandkids, or there must be something additional. There is never only a loss and no gain. There's always a gain. We just sometimes not able to capture it, or, it's there in front of us, but sometimes we don't see it.
thank you. Very, very, very useful wisdom. Thank you.
Welcome.
And Upendra sir, you rightly said that maybe in this generation right now, because many people does not look at the retirement and how you are going to spend, because that is also one of the factor. It is apart from spirituality, but the people, once they go for retirement age, and when they are very close to retirement, if they are not going to plan properly their retirement lifestyle, then that is going to have a lot of problems as well. That's what a lot of people are. I'm talking to a lot of older generation. So when they don't have good planning in place, then they're actually going through a lot of suffering, and there a lot of people are going into depression as well. So, but the spirituality, because when I looked into my 2 years of life, when I started 2 years back, I used to have like 300, 400 connections in my phone. I still have those connections, but maybe hardly I may have like 4 or 5 friends who I am calling by myself. Earlier I used to, my phone is constantly ringing. I am calling people, but now actually it's not harming me, but I'm more joyful than earlier and more happier than earlier. So it's all perspective on how we look into and how we actually train ourselves. Maybe that might be one of the things that what we need to learn. Yeah, Vindyaman.
Yeah, Ashok sir. I was just going to say, yes, we should plan for retirement, but planning is only this much. We may plan, but life happens, and everything that you plan, people change, everything change. So I think it is better, like how Gaurav sir said, work on your spirituality, because that is individual and it is in your control. That is what I was going to say. But because looking at my dad's exam, I felt he planned so well. He always had so many, different occasions. He changed. He was adaptable, everything. But suddenly, like it's 360 degrees change. Everybody changed. Everything around changed. Even grandchildren, everyone. They're not connected so much. So everything has changed. So I don't know how to say, but yeah, we have to plan that.
Vindhya if I may,
Yes.
because that brings one topic very clearly what Ashokji was saying. So take it this way. Your retirement planning includes all this. That means be aware that this situation will come, especially when you are healthy overall. That means you are living longer life. What does longer life mean? That means someone else may not be that healthy, and that means you have to face those days when you are there but others are not. That means that becomes a part of your retirement planning. If we can do that, then you can plan ahead that how I will be when this situation comes. Now it is very easier said than done. I know it is very difficult thing, but I think spirituality can make it easier for a person.
Yes. Yes.
But this is the part what Ashokji was referring, if I'm not wrong, Ashokji.
No, definitely, Gaurav sir, because I never thought I can spend time with myself personally alone. Because my wife went to India 1 month, and I never stepped out of my house. This is the first time in my 55 years and out of 30 years of my married life. When she left today, I am like, yeah, wife is not here. Yeah, let's go and enjoy. So, but that, yeah, surprisingly, 1 month is over and I have not even stepped outside because I don't even feel like going outside. And earlier I used to go spend time with friends and be in wherever and whatever and all that stuff. But yeah, that's what the spirituality is. This practice is teaching how to live and how you need to be with yourself and how joyful you need to be and how you can spend time with yourself. And we don't need like, even I don't watch TV or I don't talk to friends and all that stuff, but I'm spending my time very usefully.
Now it makes sense. I think the way we define retirement and retirement planning, like what you added and Gaurav sir added, yeah, you have to plan for all these that may happen, right? That someone may be sick, you may be sick, anything. So yeah, Thank you.
Correct, because generally retirement planning, people think it's only financial planning, but
Yeah.
that's the easier part. The harder part is
Happy New Year, Gaurav sir. I have a question to Ashok sir. Ashok sir, what are you doing with all the energy that you're staying in the house and you have bundles of energy? So when you don't step outside, what do you do with that energy?
Yeah, because it's the consuming towards listening to the masters and I started reading books and yeah, it's a diversification. That's all from earlier to now. That's all. Really.
So energy is still there.
Oh yeah, energy
It's
is
just
still there.
channeling in a different way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Raviji.
Yes.
Next time, if you visit him, you would know where the energy went. The food he's gonna serve you, you will know where it went.
He will do all the chores in the house.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nice to see Gaurav sir, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Yeah, happy New Year to you.
New Year, everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Upendra sir, you have
Yeah, Gauraji, when Vindhya ma'am brought the retirement, I jokingly I say I'm on my 5th retirement. I have taken so many retirements in life, but I think one of the things I learned is people retire. Suddenly you are so busy, you're doing so many things. Suddenly you don't have a place to go to. You don't have to get ready in the morning, and so suddenly you find yourself. That's where that uh, preparing for that helps. Not so much financial planning, but mentally you have to prepare that you are moving into a different stage of your life, trying to do something different. In one of the book clubs, there was a tremendous discussion about purpose of life, Ichigai, the book, and there are people who are who live 115, 116 years and in different parts of the world, especially Okinawa, and how they never retire. They don't think they are retired, but they continue their life, and they're not chasing after money. They are not doing that, but they're leading a very healthy and a communal life and sharing and caring for each other. I think that is one way. That book, the way it was written and it was discussed in the book club, provides a lot of insight into what retirement could look like and how you prepare for something like that.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, Lakshmi ma'am, you are unmuted.
Thank you. Thank you, Gaurav sir. Happy New Year to all. Wonderful discussion. And yeah, this health in so many perspective, getting in one umbrella was wonderful, sir, Gaurav sir. Thank you. And no, but this New Year resolution, right? Most of us probably put in, and I never for. But then this time it's been first time that I put in, and this knowingly or unknowingly, my daughter says this. She says, to be happy for no reason. Can't you be that? Just asked me this last month, and probably that's the goal of my life, not just the resolution of this year. Yeah, happy for no reason was such a wonderful sentence you put, and I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank
happy
you.
New Year, Lakshmi.
Yeah.
That's what I realize, how kids come, that's the reason I feel nature, kids, youngsters getting back to, the more older we are, more wiser, but connecting to the, again, roots, that is childhood, probably brings in more of life, and you're more wiser, so there's more to give. And they are ready to receive. As Gaurav said, youngsters listen, they are the listeners. Thank you. Thank you for wonderful discussion. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmi ji. And That's why, there is again a saying that be childlike whole life, not childish, but childlike. But what happens is as we grow, we go away from it and we get, oh, I'm older, I cannot be, but we should never lose that childlike part of us. If we can maintain that in our personality, then we can do this, because child can do that. They can be happy for no reason, but we lose that ability as we grow. So 100% with you. I know it is a Bollywood thing, but that's what they say. Sometimes you have to be like Mogambo, जो बार बार बिना बात के खुश होता रहता है. So whatever way, you take it, but yeah, absolutely, that's what we need. We become too rigid, too stiff in the name of wisdom, in the name of I'm, senior adult or whatever. No, it should be the other way around. Okay, so Ashokji, I think we can